Hi, I'm Allie Cressy,
And I'm Liz Fennell.
and this is our tour of the ear.
Welcome to our tour of the ear. We're now going to begin with the outer ear and talk about a few of the landmarks. First, we have the helix. Next is the antihelix. Laying between the two is the scaphoid fossa. Now we have the antitragus, the earlobe, the cavum concha, the cymba concha, and the crus of the antihelix. The pinna, also known as the outer ear's main job is to improve sensitivity to high-frequency sounds. It leads into the external auditory meatus, also known as the EAM. The lateral 1/3 is cartilaginous, while the medial 2/3 is bony. In the lateral 1/3 that's cartilaginous is where earwax is produced. It migrates out through the ear through gland secretion and jaw movement, and the earwax serves as a protection against bugs.
The EAM leads to the middle ear, and the tympanic membrane marks the start of this region. The ossicles of the middle ear include the malleus, the incus, and the stapes, which are the three smallest bones in the body. For a better view, we have the tympanic membrane, the malleus, the incus, and the stapes. Some other landmarks of the middle ear include the tensor tympani muscle, the carotid artery, and the eustachian tube, which is the air pressure equalizer for the ear. The sound waves that come through the EAM reach the tympanic membrane, causing the ossicles to move with lever action, creating a displacement of fluid from the oval window to the round window. The middle ear converts sound waves from acoustic energy to mechanical energy, which is called an impedance matching system. Because the tympanic membrane is 17 times larger than the oval window, it increases pressure throughout the system. Now we'll move on to the inner ear.
Now we're going to talk about the inner ear. The inner ear is broken up into three parts: the cochlea, the vestibule, and the semicircular canals. The cochlea is tonotopically organized, which means the base is stimulated by higher frequency sounds, while the apex is stimulated by lower frequency sounds. A few landmarks of the cochlea include the cochlear nerve, the heliocentrema, which is at the apex, and the modiolus, which lies medially. Within the cochlea, there are three tunnels: the scala vestibuli, the scala media, and the scala tympani. The scala vestibuli and the scala media are separated by Reisner's membrane, while the scala media and the scala tympani are separated by the basilar membrane. The scala vestibuli and the scala tympani are filled with a fluid called perilymph, and the scala media is filled with a fluid called endolymph. Within the tunnels, there are hair cells that lie within each of the cell itself. The second part of the inner ear is the vestibule. A few of the landmarks include the utricle, the saccula, and the vestibular nerve. Coming off the vestibule are the semicircular canals: the superior, posterior, and lateral. The fluid that the ossicles displace goes into the scala vestibuli. Reisner's membrane shifts. The endolymph in the cochlear duct shifts. The basilar membrane shifts and movement begins at the base of the cochlea and works its way up to the apex. As the basilar membrane moves, the hair cells shear, the cilia bend, and chemical and mechanical cochlear microphonic release, which creates action potential. This information is sent to the auditory nerve. The nerve that has a vestibular and cochlear portion travels through the internal auditory meatus. This nerve eventually becomes known as the auditory nerve.
The last region that we will discuss is the central auditory pathway. The auditory nerve is part of the auditory pathway that travels through the IAM to the brainstem. A few landmarks include the thalamus, brainstem, pons, midbrain, and the cerebellum. Inside of these regions exists an auditory pathway that goes from the cochlea to the auditory cortex of the brain. Within the auditory pathway, there are way stations where cell synapses occur. From the cochlea, sound travels to the cochlear nucleus and goes ipsilaterally or contralaterally to the superior olivary complexes. From there, the information travels to the inferior colliculus, the medial geniculate, and finally to the auditory cortex. The auditory cortex of the brain is the first place where speech can be processed and understood as language.
Thanks for watching our tour of the ear.
Bye!